What if I told you that your mirror is not just a piece of glass, but a vibrational gateway? Every morning, millions of people walk up to that surface and unknowingly perform a ritual of self-destruction, feeding a system that was designed to keep them small. The Archons have programmed us to look in the mirror and see only our flaws, our aging, and our limitations. But Yeshua taught a secret Aramaic frequency called Tuba, and he used it to look past the reflection of the flesh. He used it to see the divine inheritance of the monad, the eternal self that no mirror can contain. Today, I will show you how to turn your mirror into a portal of manifestation, and it takes less than 60 seconds. Most people have never been taught what a mirror actually does to the mind. They assume it is neutral, a simple tool that shows you what is there. But the ancient teachers knew something modern science is only beginning to confirm. Every act of perception is also an act of creation. When you stand before a mirror and your first thought is a criticism, you are not simply noticing reality. You are generating a frequency, a vibrational signal that radiates outward from your nervous system and begins shaping the field around you. The Gnostic teachers called the architects of this perceptual trap the unseen forces that harvest human creative energy by redirecting it inward against the self. The matrix, as it has been called in modern language, is not a metaphor. It is a hall of mirrors, a carefully constructed perceptual environment designed to keep your attention locked on the reflection of lack. You see wrinkles, and you feel old. You see imperfection, and you feel unworthy. You see the body, and you forget the monad, the eternal, indivisible, divine spark that Yeshua himself said was the kingdom already within you. Every time you criticize what you see in that glass, you are making an offering, not to yourself, to the system. Your creative energy, the same energy that Yeshua channeled when he spoke the word shalom into storms, and they obeyed, is being redirected away from manifestation and deposited into the architecture of limitation. This is not an accident. It is a program, and like every program, it can be interrupted, overwritten, and replaced with a higher signal. The archontic distortion cannot survive contact with its opposite frequency. It cannot survive the vibration of divine recognition. The moment a soul stops seeing the body and begins to see the monad projecting through it, that interruption begins with a single word. A word Yeshua used. A word that has been waiting, encoded in the original Aramaic transmission, for you to speak it out loud. The secret word, TOOBA. The translators did their best, but some words refuse to be flattened into a single equivalent. They carry too much light, too much dimensional weight to survive the reduction. TOOBA is one of those words. In most English Bibles, TOOBA appears as blessed. You will find it in the opening lines of the Sermon on the Mount, where Yeshua stood before the multitude and began releasing a frequency sequence that many called teaching, but the initiated recognized as activation. TOOBA are the poor in spirit. TOOBA are the meek. TOOBA are the pure in heart. But in its original Aramaic architecture, TOOBA carries a meaning far more precise and far more powerful than any single English translation can contain. The root of the word speaks of ripeness, of something that has reached the fullness of its potential and is now turning back toward its origin. It is often described by Aramaic scholars as the potential for greatness, returning to its source. Read that again. Not greatness being given from the outside. Not a reward waiting at the end of suffering, but greatness already present within you, recognized, activated, and now moving back toward the divine intelligence that placed it there. This is the frequency that Yeshua was transmitting every time he spoke that word. He was not listing the lucky ones. He was performing a recalibration, collapsing the gap between the soul's perception of itself and the monad's eternal truth about what that soul already is. This is not self-help language. This is the original technology. And the mirror is where it activates. After this video was first shared, hundreds asked the same question: where can they go deeper? We put together a complete guide with everything you need. The link is in the comments. Every ancient tradition preserved some version of this practice. The Egyptians called it the ritual of the Ka, the meeting between the physical self and the eternal double, the essence, the desert community that shaped much of Yeshua's early formation, practiced daily ceremonies of reflection that had nothing to do with vanity and everything to do with vibrational alignment. What Yeshua understood, and what has been systematically removed from the public transmission of his teachings, is that the body has specific entry points for frequency. The eyes are not passive receivers. They are bidirectional transmitters. What you send through them returns to you, amplified, filtered through the field of whatever you believe yourself to be. This is why the protocol begins with the left eye, in the Aramaic understanding of the body, and confirmed through centuries of esoteric anatomy. The left eye is connected to the subconscious architecture, the deep layer of the mind where programs run silently, where the Archontic code has embedded its instructions since childhood. To look into your own left eye is to make contact with the part of yourself that has been running the limitation software without your conscious permission. Stand before the mirror. Let your body settle. Do not rusties. Even 30 seconds of stillness before you begin will change the depth of what happens next. Then find your left eye in the reflection and hold your gaze there, softly, without force or judgment. Now whisper the word TOOBA once, twice, 3 times. Let the sound move slowly through your lips, as though you are offering it to the reflection rather than performing it for an audience. As you speak, begin to visualize a point of golden light at the center of your chest, the location the Aramaic tradition calls the LEB, the heart center, where the monad makes contact with the physical body. See that light move forward, touch the glass, and return not as a reflection, but as a transmission. Received, absorbed, written into the cellular field. Something happens in the nervous system when a frequency of truth makes contact with a program of limitation. It is not always dramatic. It does not always announce itself with visions or sensations of electricity moving through the spine, though for some, it does. More often, it arrives as a subtle but unmistakable stillness, a moment where the internal critic goes quiet and something older, something that was there before the world taught you to be ashamed of yourself, steps forward. That is the monad. That is what Yeshua was pointing to when he said the kingdom of heaven is within you, not as a poetic metaphor, not as a consolation for suffering, but as a precise vibrational address, a location inside the body field, where divine frequency is always broadcasting, always available, always waiting for the moment you stop transmitting doubt long enough to receive it. When Tuba lands in the mirror space, when the sound moves through you, the golden light completes its circuit, and the left eye holds its gaze without flinching. The image of lack begins to dissolve, not because you have tricked yourself into positivity, but because you have introduced a higher signal into a field that was running on a lower one. The monad frequency, once activated, does not stay contained to the mirror moment. It moves. It ripples outward through the electromagnetic field your heart generates, a field modern science has measured extending several feet beyond the physical body in every direction. The people around you begin to respond to something they cannot name. Opportunities appear in the spaces where resistance used to live. The body itself begins to reorganize, not by miracle, but by the physics of coherence, replacing incoherence at the cellular level. Yeshua knew this. He practiced this, and he took it in Aramaic, in a frequency-dense language where every syllable was chosen with surgical precision. TOOBA was not a blessing he extended to the lucky. It was a transmission he offered to everyone willing to receive it. You are willing. You are here. The complete guide is pinned in the first comment, the most important Aramaic words, their exact pronunciation, and the full activation protocols. For those ready to go deeper, the link is there waiting. There is a phrase in the original Aramaic texts that was translated so softly, so carefully, that most people read it and feel nothing. The phrase is Baralaha, Son of God, or more precisely, one who carries the nature of the source within them. Yeshua used this term not only to describe himself, but to describe what he saw when he looked at the people standing before him. He was not speaking religiously, he was speaking vibrationally. He was identifying the monad signature in every human field he encountered, and his words, his Aramaic transmissions, functioned as tuning forks that caused that signature to vibrate at a higher amplitude. People who had been sick for years stood up. People who had been living under the weight of shame found it lifted in a single moment of contact with his frequency. You do not need physical proximity to access this same technology. The mirror protocol is a method of creating that contact within yourself, of becoming both the transmitter and the receiver of the divine recognition. Yeshua. Carried te-o. Obe is the activation code that collapses the distance between who you have been told you are and who the monad knows you to be. Your divine inheritance is not a future reward. It is a present frequency. Wealth, health, peace. These are not things the universe will hand you if you are obedient enough. They are the natural state of a field running on monad coherence rather than archontic interference. When the signal clears, the inheritance flows, not as charity, as physics. 3 days. That is, all the ancient protocols asked of initiates before results became undeniable. 3 days of standing before the mirror, meeting your own left eye, and whispering TOOBA into the space between your reflection and your truth. 3 days of allowing the golden light to complete its circuit and begin rewriting the program that has kept your inheritance just out of reach. The mirror is ready. The word has always existed. The only thing that was missing was your willingness to speak it. Everything in this video is the foundation. The complete guide is pinned in the first comment, the most important Aramaic words, their exact pronunciation, and the full activation protocols. For those ready to go deeper, the link is there, waiting for you. And if this activated something in you, you came to this video carrying something, a question, a weight, a sense that the reflection you have been shown your entire life was never the full picture. And you were right. The mirror was never designed to show you who you are. It was designed to show you what the system needed you to believe, so that your creative energy would remain redirected. Your divine inheritance would remain unclaimed, and the archontic architecture of limitation would remain intact. But today, something shifted. You heard the word Tuba spoken in the frequency in which Yeshua originally transmitted it. You understood, perhaps for the first time, that the Beatitudes were not poetry. They were activation sequences delivered in Aramaic, engineered for the soul, and designed to collapse the gap between human perception and monad truth. You received the mirror protocol. You know now where to look, what to speak, and what to visualize as the golden light of the LEBBA completes its circuit through the glass and returns to your cellular field as a new instruction. You know that 3 days of this practice is enough to make the shift undeniable, not because you are chanting affirmations, but because you are introducing a higher signal into a field that has been waiting for exactly this transmission. The monad has never stopped broadcasting. The divine inheritance has never been revoked. The frequency of Tuba has been waiting in the original Aramaic transmission for 2,000 years, waiting for the moment you would be ready to receive it, not as religion, not as philosophy, but as living, functional, vibrational truth. That moment is now. This is your recalibration. This is your mirror becoming a portal. This is Tuba landing in your field and the reflection of lack beginning, right now, to dissolve. Speak it. Claim it. Seal Italiano. If you felt a shift while watching, you are ready for what comes next. In the next video, we enter the Aramaic activation codes for healing, the precise frequency sequence Jesus used to restore the body at the cellular level. The same technology, a deeper transmission. Donat mis Italiano. Right now, before you close this video, speak the four-syllable word out loud. Kadishad, let it move through you. Let it land. Then come to the comments and tell us, what did you feel? What sifted? We read every single response, and what people are reporting is extraordinary. And if this teaching found you today, if something in you recognized the frequency before your mind could explain it, subscribe to this channel. Every week we go deeper into the ancient frequency codes that were always meant to be yours. The transmission continues, and so do you. Amen. Tuba.